this gospel. God's love is not based on you, but it's based on grace.
God's grace always comes with a purpose.
For the purpose that our lives would glorify Him.
My name is Jason Albino. My wife's name is Geraldine Albino. We have 2 girls. We're all in the ministry. I came into ICF back in 2001. And then we finally found a place downtown, Prison Street, Louis, right across Maui Medical.
So take us back to the day that the fire started.
Man, past the days, you're trying to go back to it, you just realize how God really used His hand, made sure that you're gonna be okay that day. Woke up Tuesday, power went out like around 4-ish in our area. Had all our windows were closed. I've never seen a wind that strong ever since. We woke up later that morning. We didn't really realize. We just hear everything, all that sound on our roof. Like, what's going on? And then I went out. You have to time yourself, going out, because when that wind shifts, it's very dangerous. So when I look, I didn't realize someone's roof was already on top of our roof. Wow. And then I got a text like around 4:17 saying there was a fire at Keawe. I had an idea where it was, but at the same time, I couldn't really process. 5 minutes later, I went out. Fire was just a couple streets from our place. And around 5-ish, that's when the wind started shifting, and just daylight to just night in split second. And then your feeling just changed from that sense of like we're okay to like, oh no, like we gotta get out. I'm gonna cut to the chase. As I mentioned, we never had gas. I think if we had gas, it would have changed the narrative of our story. We would have perished probably. I've always had that on the back of my mind, like, okay, we had no gas. We have no gas. So it's either left or right. If we turned right, okay, we went left. Later, a few days after, I realized when I found out that they were doing gridlocks, if we turned right, it would have been worse. So going back to the no gas thing, somehow God really used that to save us.
What are some of the things that you see there? Just like there's no doubt there's a God.
Yeah, there's several really amazing miracles that we saw. We were getting supplies into Lahaina. They needed propane, gas, water. Everybody from the community came out in force, loaded up a bunch of trucks. All the roads were closed. Things started happening in Lahaina where the police couldn't let anyone in. And so we gathered in circles here. We just, praying and saying, God, help us get all this stuff out there. Probably 5 to 10 minutes later, the captain of one of these boats pulls up in our parking lot. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And he said, hey, we're starting to take out, supplies to Lahaina. Do you guys need to use our boat? And we're like, we're just praying that, that we could find a way. And while we were going out in the boat, we were passing the harbor, and I took a picture because as we were passing Lahaina Harbor, there was this one structure. It's the bathroom on the dock of the Lahaina Harbor, and everything was burnt. Everything was, destroyed except that one structure. And I hit my friend, and I was like, "What is that?" And he said, "That's the bathroom." And I said, "How did that make it?" Because all the boats caught on fire. Like the air was so hot, and I think that something happened to the gasoline. From what I heard, it spilled into the harbor. All the boats were lit on fire. Everything was gone except that one structure. And so I took a picture of it. What's her name again?
Lucita Domingo. So she's been with us. She's been with the church for a while now. She's one of our faithful members. She helps clean the church. They live right next door where the church is, so I decided to kind of like go check on them. So I was knocking. No one was there. This was like about 4:30, I think. Yeah, we left as that, not knowing where everybody is, because there was no communication, right? someone said that some neighbor picked her up. We had that assurance, like, okay, she's good, she's safe. Later that week, we found out about what really happened to her. Recounting her story, Prison Street, she was trying to make her way to the north side. So of course, you would think you would have to walk through Front Street. So she decided to do that, but on her way there, she couldn't really figure out the direction because the wind was blowing so hard, and it was pitch black and it was hot. So she didn't realize she was just circling around in one area. The first time she saw some boats, and then she thought maybe we should go there, but the boats were in flames. So she went again, and then didn't realize she ended up in that same area. So visibility was so bad, right? It was just hard to tell where she was. And then she found a spot. Later on, we found out that was the restroom. That was the only structure left standing at the harbor. And then she thought she was just looking for cover there, but she actually spent the night there praying.
The beginning of the next day, she came out, everything was leveled. Everything was leveled.
She left in the morning, went back to our place to get her suitcase. That's how when she started walking and somebody picked her up. So we missed that very beginning part, and that pretty much the whole story of God's hand upon the miracle. What gets me is this, like, because the boats got burned. I'm like, what? Like, how? And then you tell me that one restroom didn't get burned. Like, just doesn't make sense. I think we forget that God has always been faithful. Pre-disaster, during the disaster, after. But it's during those times that you as a normal person, it shows that there is a God. Because of what happened too, it highlights our lives of everything pointing back to His faithfulness. And even after the fire, we've been bombarded with His goodness and faithfulness that we weren't really ready for. Job always comes to mind. We reflect, or we relate to some of his experiences, some of our experiences to his experiences. And I think about Job's life. His has an end story. So we know that God is faithful and He will stay faithful. So we've really just been amazed. Church family blessed us, there for us, prayed with us, prayed for us. You guys are one of those church families that just opened and cared for us as well. So we've been so blessed, not just personally, not just with my family, but the church.
As Isaiah prophesies in chapter 61, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to grant those who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful headdress instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of a faint spirit, that they may be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that He may be glorified.